Yahuwah. For the godly man ceaseth, for the faithful fail from among the children of men. They speak vanity one with his neighbor, with flattering lips, and with a double tongue do they speak. The I am shall cut off all flattering lips, and that tongue that speaketh proud things. Who have said with our tongue, we will prevail, our lips are our own. Who is Lord over us? The oppression of the poor for the sighing of the needy. Now will I arise, says the I am. I will set him in safety from him that puffeth at him. The words of the I am are pure, as silver tried in a furnace of earth, purified 7 times. Thou shalt keep them, O Yahweh. Thou shalt preserve them from this generation forever. The wicked walketh on every side when the vilest men are exalted. Psalms chapter 11 and verse 12. Deliver me from the hands of evil spirits who have sway over the thoughts of men's hearts, and let them not lead me astray from thee, my God. Establish thou me and my seed, that we go not astray henceforth and forevermore. Jubilees chapter 12 and verse 20. Yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Yes. We thank God for you, and you. And we also give praise God for who he is. We give God praise. As always, praise. We always praise God for who he is. He is the Almighty, the Omnipotent. He's the one, his way is all past our finding out. But we can understand and know him. Nothing is equal to the Most High, but he holdeth all things together. And we give God the glory and the praise just for who he is. To be able to praise God 24/7. For the flesh, that's virtually almost impossible. It's impossible. But nothing is impossible with God. On our own behalf, yes, it's impossible. But on God's behalf, no. We'll get tired. We'll say, oh, we got to go to work. We got to eat. We're hungry. Oh, we want to watch our favorite TV show and all these other things. But the angels, their entertainment is his glory. Yes, their entertainment is his glory. The messengers, the spirits of God, whether you call them Michael, Gabriel, whatever names you call them, those that have not transgressed against God's law, statutes, and commandments according to the heavenly host. Yes, the spirits of God. You don't have to call them angels. They're spirits of God. If they come in righteousness and holiness and truth, they are spirits of God. And in the name of him who created all things, they are spirits of God. There's no such, an angel means messenger. Let's get this right. An angel means messenger. Ministering spirits. See, you got this, they have infiltrated all the holy books. Infiltrated. Now, if you would go back to the original language, you would not say these things that we say. Oh, have a blessed day. Oh, this and that. Have this and that. Yeah, get out of here. I'm happy today. Happy means blessed. You got to call a buck. Stop trying to blow smoke in my ear to be polite. All right. Now we're in the first book of Samuel. The first book of Samuel. We read what Samuel at first he had instructed the children of Israel what to do in order to win with God. And so it wasn't by their going by his instructions he was able to entreat God, because they were pagans. You have to realize the fight that God had with Israel mostly was because with paganism comes every type of evil. Because you're worshiping other gods. Whether they be steel images, they are images of something in heaven or in earth or underneath the earth. They are images. Come on here. Even your image of Jesus, whether he be black, white, or this puffy-nosed black man with looking like somebody out of a thug out of the alley in Chicago somewhere. We walk by sight and not by confidence in the Most High. Why you walk by sight? Why these big yeah, that man probably can throw you across the room, or you feel, but can that man really protect you? All it takes is a spear. All it takes is a knife. And all it takes is a projectile that can render him incapacitated. That has nothing to do with God. God doesn't go by your stature of being mighty. God proved that with David. But let us continue. We're in the 8th chapter of the book of 1 Samuel. And let us read. And it came to pass when Samuel was old. This was a very favorite prophet of the Most High. Some would say, well, he's a prophet. It's just like Ezekiel, Daniel, he's a prophet and a judge. And that he made his sons. Now this prophet Samuel, eventually he had sons and daughters. He had sons. Okay? He had sons. He was old and he had sons, and he made his sons judges over Israel. In other words, to judge according to commandments, statutes, and ordinances is the way God would do it. Now the name of his firstborn was Joel. And the name of his second was Abiah. And they were judges in Beersheba. You go to the Ashkenazi and ask them their names. Oh well. But his sons walked not in his ways. His ways were God's ways. But he turned aside after lucre and took bribes and perverted judgment. Perverting judgment. Perverting judgment. We see that all too often here in the United States. They pervert judgment because of the color of the skin of the person being judged. In other words, judging is coming to the conclusion of the wrong done according to the law. Sentence. These are my own definitions about what I understand. I didn't go to no dictionary or nothing, but sentence is the result of judgment, of the transgression of the law, whichever law that is. I mean, sin. You can sin against any law. That's transgression of a law. Sin. You can sin against your father, your mother. That's sin, okay? Let's get it right. Let's go with these words. We got to understand these words. I don't worry about no Hebrew and all this other stuff. But what did these words read when we started reading these books here? Now, you get to Hebrew, that's one thing. But when you get to the English, that's another, because they speak with different tongues. Now, let's continue. The sons not walked in his ways, but turned aside after lucre, money, riches, gold, women, whatever. Took bribes and perverted judgment. In other words, this is what happens today. Judges pervert judgment because they say, well, he looks like my son. Oh, he looks like he should be in school. Oh, because he's black or brown, this is a grown man or a grown woman. It doesn't matter. They're nothing, no way. Bribes and perverted judgment. These things happen every day in the judicial system. And even those who are of the same hue or color, because they want to appease their brighter constituents, to keep their judgeship, should I say, until the next election and be elected then. Isn't that something? Yes, this is what happens. This is why God will come. And he will. The earth is already judged, period. Already judged. But he's just going to pass sentence on you. He's going to plead with you. Now, there comes mercy. They call it a plea bargain. Yeah, that's what they call it here. A plea bargain. But he has mercy. God has mercy. And his mercy endures forever. It depends. Now, as far as blaspheming against the Most High, or should I say, taking his name in vain, adultery, murder, rape, say it just like it is, whether it's boy or girl, or woman or man, eternal damnation, period. The rest God will forgive, but that eternal damnation God will not. And it depends on how God values this human being, the other human beings from other nations. Now, if it's an Israelite, God is going to have a havoc with you. But other nations, God knows their heart, and he knows what kind of people they are. Because they follow other spirits, even those who follow what you would call Jesus. Now, all the elders of Israel gathered themselves together and came to Samuel unto Ramah. Now, apparently, they talked with the elders. Some elders are fathers of groups of people. They could have been fathers of 20, 30 children, or whatever, should I say. And they would just, had a tribe. No different than Africans. No different than what you would call it a different so-called African tribe. But they had a little more, they had more organization. Yes. And they also aided Egypt in its organization in many ways. But Egypt, they will not tell you that. No, they were not going to tell you that. Egypt was wicked in his own right. Now it says now, but the thing displeased Samuel. They says now, look, they said in verse 5, and said unto him, after they came to him in Ramah, they said unto Samuel, but thou art old. In other words, they were looking to they had made Samuel their king, so to speak. Samuel was like a circuit court judge. He went around different places and he judged people according to their different problems and whether they should live or die or whether they should pay restitution or whatever. He did these things according to the words, the statutes, laws, commandments, and ordinances of the Most High. Yes, he did these things. But he was like a king unto them. And you have to realize the people walk by sight. Israel were pagans. No, don't say that. Christians are pagan. Okay. He says now. And then you have these so-called Israelites are still walking after Christianity. Pagan. I don't care how much you say, shalom, shalom. How you say, what you call it, Yahweh, Yahuwah, however I'm woke. All these things, the Most High, it doesn't matter. You're pagan. Anytime you put a man on the side of God, you're a pagan. And this is what the setup that you don't even understand, according to Deuteronomy chapter 28, the setup. You were set up to worship these gods. And God is trying to deliver you, and you still holding on to him because of your pride. You have your friends. You're in leadership. Yes, look at me. Yeah, and he give you all the popularity that you can have, that you turned away backwards, right down into the abyss where Satan and his angels will be. You say, this man crazy. No, I'm not crazy. I'm just reading the word of God as it is. That's it. Then all the elders of Israel gathered themselves together and came to Samuel unto Ramah, and said unto him, behold, thou art old, thy sons walk not in thy ways. Now make us a king to judge us like all the nations. Oh, you don't know what you're asking here. You don't know what you're asking. And the I Am said to Samuel, hearken, this is just the meekness of the Most High. He is the most powerful being ever. None before him, and none shall be after him, for he is forever. And he tells a man, listen to these people. Listen to them. They're foolish. But Samuel knew God. He understood God. He understood and knew God because through what he was taught of the Levites, through his word, through the things that have happened in the past, and also his commandments, statutes, ordinances, and laws. He understood and knew God. This is the only way you're going to understand and know God. Other than that, you're judging God. Yes, you said, well, why are you hollering at me? Yeah, I'm hollering at me too. That I might not do the thing over and over again. He says, but this thing displeased Samuel. And the I am said unto Samuel in verse 7, hearken unto the voice of the people in all that they say unto thee. For they have not rejected thee, but they have rejected me. You talking about, oh, you accept Jesus, you reject Jesus. This is going to take, no, your rejection. This here to the whole thing is rejection. When you choose your King David, you rejected God. When you chose your King Solomon, you rejected God. When you choose your different pastors and preachers and teachers to the point that everything they say is above God, you reject God. And many of you are angry when somebody quotes the law, statutes, ordinances, and commandments of the Most High. Angry when a person tells you that your Jesus is the same as you worshiping the devil. Your Yahushua is the same thing. Your Yahusha. Just because you give him another name, still the same thing. There is none beside me, saith the Most High, according to this narrative. None. The same yesterday, today, and forever. Is that him? Does he change? Can you kill God? Will God reduce himself to the level of a man? You have to ask yourself these questions. But many of you will not do it because you have your friends at your local church or your mosque or your camp. Oh, we can't be Old Testament only. We can't do that. Well, the New Testament used the Old Testament only, but they added a twist to it, and that was their Jesus. Their 12 apostles and all these things. Yes, they did. Oh, it's a good setup. I mean, that's perfect. I mean, that setup until God reveals that to you and you come to the light and God shows you this. It ain't about whether you're ready. When God reveals it to you, brings it to your attention, it's time to move, because either you're going to be deleted or something's going to happen where you're not going to even get back to God, period. You might even turn against your own brethren. Who knows? He said, hearken unto the voice of the people. But they have rejected me. So in all that you do in choosing a man over God, you have rejected God. Oh, you just making that up. No, I ain't. Who would they say they wanted? A king. So you have a king of kings, you say this Esau is. A king of kings, you said this David is. A king of kings, you said this Solomon is. All the whole line of kings you have put above God. In that all of Israel followed the kings above God, and whatever they did. When they did wickedness, Israel did wickedness. When they did right, Israel did right. No man followed after God because of his own conviction in his own heart. See, this is the should I say, the right of Abraham. Abraham didn't go according to the king. Abraham didn't go according to his father or his mother. Listen. Joseph didn't follow his dreams because he told the truth as he understood it before his father. He didn't just follow him. He walked as God showed him. And it got him into a pit. Now, Samuel, he could have followed the Philistines too, because they had more power. You can follow the hierarchy, your corporations and all these other things, because they have more power. They have money and men that follow them. They have greed backed by their country's policies. which sends your men to war. Then all of a sudden, they're set up at the oil fields and all these, oh my goodness. We're getting into something here. But either way, let us continue. They rejected me, that I should not reign over them. Who was reigning over Israel? How foolish can we be? Is it your corporations that you work for 8 hours a day who reigns over you? They tell you what to do. They tell you how to live and how to not do this and how to not do that. I can understand being in a corporation and doing those things that they want to do as far as conducting their business with the public. Oh, that's okay. Or different rules they have when it comes to the process of their whatever they have, their products, and how to keep the cleanliness in your hands and all this stuff. But when it comes to other things like your hair, your head, and what you worship and what you talk about and all these other things, and when quid pro quo happens in the workplace, when sexual molestation or sexual impropriety happens in the workplace, or racism happens in the workplace, then they have no jurisdiction there. That is the jurisdiction of who? The law, period. But yet, corporations could even sweep, some corporations could even sweep murder, or even churches or religious system can sweep murder under the world and the government look the other way. They reject God, that I should not reign over them. In other words, they did a coup d'etat on God. Many of you have elected Jesus over God. You've elected all these other entities over God. Your angel, Gabriel, however you say it or whatever, you have elected them over the statutes, ordinance, and commandments of the Most High God. There is no other writing that should even be followed but his commandments, statutes, and ordinances. All the rest is just history and what God did, that you might understand and know him and his dealing after his dealings with the children of men, even Jacob. That's what we're talking about. I see why I'm shadow banned a lot. But either way, according to all the works which they have done since the day I brought them up out of Egypt, even to this day, wherewith they have forsaken me and served other gods, so do they also unto thee. You know, God get a man to represent, as kings do. Kings get a man to represent them, or entity, or some entity. God gets angels who talks to men, who talks to other men. But we want something we can see. We think we can control other men. But that's a setup. Satan can control other men over you. Remember why you last hired, first fired Jacob? These are spirits. Spirits form the attitudes of men. They have sway over the thoughts of men's hearts. Why do you think racism and bigotry and all these things happen? Traffic stops, a light. This man gets filled with the spirit of Satan, and next thing you know, he's coming at your child or you. He wants to slam you up against the wall. You can be a pretty woman and just not. And you could be a child of the Most High and don't even know it. You could be one that came out of Israel and don't even know it. Because your father is what count, not your mother, as far as your lineage. Your mother, yeah, you have traits of your mother. You will do things like your mother, but whatever. God goes by the man, period. As far as your lineage. His seed. No matter how these foolish people talk all throughout on social media and different places. Doesn't matter how they talk. It's the seed of the man that God counts. Who's your father? Who's his father? Who's his father? Now, this is why they're trying to destroy you. They created this thing in the hearts of men to destroy other men, that his seed might not continue. We're going to cut it out from the root. The root is his sons, himself. I mean, whether you have seed with the white woman or Asian woman or whoever, it matters to God. But the fact is, it's still a son of Israel. If you are a son of Israel, the rest can walk. Now, they serve other gods. This is all they wanted, to serve things that they can see. Idolatry. Now therefore hearken unto thy voice, howbeit yet protest solemnly unto them, and show them the manner of the king, that they'll reign over them. And Samuel told all the words of the I Am unto the people that asked a king of him a king. And he said, this will be the manner of the king that shall reign over you. He will take your sons and appoint them for himself, for his chariots. God didn't need your chariots. No, he don't need your chariots. He didn't want your chariots. Your chariots was for you. And to be of his horsemen, and even your leaders of tens of thousands, they didn't even need your chariots because they were equal to you. He didn't need no rankings. No one was given more than the other. He will take your son and appoint them for himself, for his chariots, to be his horsemen, and some shall run before his chariots. In other words, you're just a pawn. And he will appoint captains over thousands and captains over fifties, and will set them to ear his ground. In other words, just like now, spy on you and what you're talking about. Gonna spy on you. This has been going on ever since Egypt. The kings have spied on their people by having their ear to the ground through other people, and to reap his harvest. Your land becomes his land. And to make his instruments of war and instruments of his chariots. In other words, you're going to give it free. You give you some food, maybe a little land or whatever. He will make your daughters to be confectionaries and to be cooks and to be bakers. Now, at first, men could do this for kings and stuff. But now he's saying he's going to take your daughters and make them cook for you instead of them cooking for their husbands. And he will take your fields and your vineyards and your olive yards, even the best of them. Remember Jezebel? And give them to his servants. Come on here. And he will take a tenth of your seed and of your vineyards and give them to his officers and to his servants. In other words, you look at the governing body. Look at your governing body in the U.S. Look at your governing body. People have been given jobs in government now because they're loyal to the party that's in power at the time. They become rich. They want to keep their jobs, so they do, even if it hurts them, they will do and hurt others. Cities, municipalities, countryside, your sheriffs. The sheriff's racist, and if he's a bigot, whether he be black or white, doesn't matter. Some of them hate their own people anyway. Or figure you ain't nothing but a thug and a thief. You kill him, we're going to stand up for you. Don't worry about it. They're nothing. They're less than a dog to us. And he will take a tenth of your sheep, and ye shall be his servants. Look at David with Bathsheba, who he took from a man that was loyal to him, that loved his king. He hated him, and that he took his own wife, commanded that she should lay with him. But God did something that we do not understand. Oh, glory. But anyway, let us keep going. And you will cry out in that day because of your king, which ye shall have chosen you, and the I Am will not hear you in that day. Nevertheless, the people refused to obey the voice of Samuel, and they said, nay, but we will have a king over us. Excuse me. That we may be like all the nations, that our king may judge us and go out before us and fight our battles. And Samuel heard all the words of the people, and he rehearsed them in the ears of the I Am. Not that the I Am didn't hear that himself, his angels, and all the host of heaven was looking on it. And like, are these people very foolish, stiff-necked and stubborn? And the I Am said to Samuel, hearken to their voice, and make them a king. And Samuel said unto the men of Israel, go ye every man unto his city. Did this hurt God? No. He knew what he was going to do. He knew the way their heart was. Pagans. Majority of Israel were pagans. I don't care how much you worship Jesus or you worship your Yahweh Shai or whatever, your Yahusha or whatever you call it. Pagan. To have a man over God. You don't understand the thing that is going on here. When they invented the New Testament, when they invented Islam, when they invented Buddhism, when they invented all these other factions of your Christianity from what you call the Abrahamic faith, you hate it with such a detest. But yet you love your little church and your little religion. You love your prophet that comes to you and can knock you down. This demon come to you and knock you down in the spirit. That's what you say. Pagan. Demon worshipers. Soothsayers. If that's the case, why can they could do the same thing in a certain place in Nigeria, make the man go way up in the air and come back down. Who are you? What's so special about your preacher that he could just, or something like that, and you get a little magical treatment on you? Yeah, it's real. It's a magical treatment. But it's not God. To turn you backwards, he allowed it. Because God is spirit. His word is spirit. His way is righteousness and holiness according to his commandments, statutes. Oh, that's legalism. Isn't the law, your law that you go by from your government, legalism? There's no such thing as that. Are you gonna are you gonna do by your law? You gonna go all these all stuff? You gonna fall out? Oh, I feel it. You're right, Judge. You gonna let me go for my traffic stop? No. Are you? Oh wow. You don't understand, Israel, how foolish you have been made. You didn't come from the Most High because you were foolish from the beginning. Period. You don't like me for this. I don't care. I'm shadow banned. It doesn't matter. But God wants a faithful people who will go after his way, according to just his simple laws, statutes, commandments, and ordinances. Simple. Very simple. But yet you make it complicated with your bylaws and laws and all these other things you trick and add on just like you do to a new car. You like the car the way it looked, but then you look at it and you say, well, I like the way this designer did it, but I want to add on my own little stuff. So they cater to this is called advertising. They cater to what you want. And basically, they cater to mostly women. And they know that men will work his butt off and die trying to please a woman. Israel didn't do that stuff at first. Yeah, that's the way of heathen. Trying to get her. One who've taken down empires because of her foolishness. But the fact is, they wanted a king. They were pagan. They wanted something they could walk by sight. They could worship before this king. God allowed it. But to the man or woman that will put God before, you put your husband up, woman. Let's go by the order first. The order, that's legalism. We're going to be legalistic. You go by the order. You go by your husband. Husband, you love your wife. Ain't that right? Is that what the God asked you to do? Even in the Old Testament, same thing. Love your wife. Same thing. And he tell the man, love your God, not your king. You honor your king. But your God, you're going to honor him by what? Not putting any king or any man or anything or any principality or any power before him according to the first commandment. They just violated and God gave it to them. Meek. Well, didn't Moses act the same way? Meek. This is the attribute of God. He's meek. As powerful as the Most High, our Creator, is, He is meek. And that is a trait. That is a spiritual, although you have more power and you can slam people inside the wall, to be meek and say, well, this is the way this person is. He even let those who walk out of their gender do what they want to do. But He has a plan. Yes, He does. You will not escape. You will not escape your paganism. You will not escape. I don't care if you wear your hijabs or you're just like a little Catholic woman's. It's Catholicism. They wear their little hijabs too. You call them something else, but they call them, they're still a hijab. It's way the same way. And you think you're walking holy? This woman walking on her butt tight pants and butt all showing every little crevice in her body that's supposed to be for her husband. She's showing these things, and she got on hijabs and said it's purity. Get out of here. But either way, it's nobody. If you want to pray 7, 5, 8, 10 times, it's okay. If you want to call Him Allah, yeah, that says God. Ya Allah, yes, that means I am God. Yahuwah, Yahosh. It's just the same thing. Jah is just an A. It's supposed to be a Y. It's the same thing. Let me stop because I can keep going and going, but either way, if we obey His commandments, statutes, and ordinances and laws, we will have peace.
Walk with me.